MetaFacts Legends, History Ranked, Episode 1 Entry Number 1. The Scientific Mindset and the Age of Rational Inquiry. The most powerful idea in history isn't faith, isn't fear, it's curiosity. Imagine this. You're locked in a dark cell. Outside, men whisper about heresy. A church court has declared your ideas dangerous. Your only crime, saying that Earth moves. That was Galileo Galilei, 1633. Now zoom out. A child stares at a falling apple and dares to ask why. A young man boards a ship called the Beagle, travels the globe, and sees that species aren't fixed, they change, they evolve. These weren't just men, they were idea machines. They didn't pray for answers, they tested them. This is the story of the scientific mindset, the greatest engine of progress, and sometimes destruction, that humanity has ever created. Welcome back to MetaFacts Legends, History Ranked. We've counted down the top 10 ideologies that changed and scarred human history. We've seen gods, guns, and grand visions, but at number 1 is the idea that changed everything by asking a question. Let's rewind. Before science, there was certainty. The sun rose because God commanded it. Lightning struck as divine punishment. Illness, a demon, a curse, a sin. And then came a shift. Not a revolution in the streets, but in the mind. The scientific mindset isn't a theory or a doctrine. It's a way of seeing, a way of doubting, a way of saying, what if we're wrong? That sentence, 5 words, broke the chains of dogma, tore through superstition, and launched humanity into a new age. The age of rational inquiry. Let's meet the architects of that age. Let's begin with Galileo, born in Pisa in 1564, the same year as Shakespeare. Galileo Galilei was supposed to be a doctor, but instead of studying blood, he studied pendulums. Instead of prayers, he watched moons. And instead of quoting scripture, he asked the most dangerous question of all. What if Aristotle was wrong? You see, for centuries, European science had been built on ancient Greek authority, especially Aristotle. He said heavier objects fall faster. Galileo dropped 2 spheres from the Leaning Tower of Pisa and found they hit the ground at the same time. He didn't just challenge dogma, he measured it. Then came the telescope. Galileo didn't invent it, but he turned it skyward. In 1609, he saw craters on the moon, spots on the sun, moons orbiting Jupiter. Each one shattered the idea that the heavens were perfect, unchanging, divine, and worse, he confirmed what Copernicus had whispered. The Earth was not the center of the universe. The Church responded with fear. In 1616, they banned Copernicus. In 1633, they put Galileo on trial. The man who proved that Jupiter had moons was forced to say the Earth didn't move. He recanted, but legend says, as he rose from the floor, he muttered, "Eppur si muove," and yet, it moves. Galileo's fate was tragic, but his method, observation, measurement, doubt, survived, and it ignited the mind of another man who would rewrite the universe itself. If Galileo cracked the sky, Isaac Newton rebuilt it from scratch. Born prematurely in 1642, the year Galileo died, as if the torch had passed through time, Newton was a solitary child. Awkward, obsessed, by his own account, he barely spoke for days when deep in thought. But oh, the thoughts he had. In his early 20s, as the Great Plague swept London, Newton retreated to his family farm. There, in a span of 18 months, he invented calculus, developed the theory of color, and formulated the law of universal gravitation. You know, just a casual quarantine project. Let's pause for a second. Before Newton, people knew apples fell, they just didn't know why. They knew the moon orbited Earth, but not what kept it there. Newton asked, what if the same force that makes apples fall also keeps planets in orbit? That was gravity, and in 1687, he published Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, a book so dense, even Einstein called it the greatest intellectual effort ever made by man. In it, Newton described a universe governed not by whims or miracles, but by laws. Predictable, mathematical, elegant. The sun's pull, a planet's curve, a tide's rise, everything could be written in equations. Suddenly, the universe was a clock, and Newton, its watchmaker. He didn't just invent physics, he showed that nature is legible. You could calculate it, test it, repeat it, and in doing so, Newton laid the foundation for modern engineering, astronomy, and nearly every science we know today. Let's talk ripple effects. The Industrial Revolution, powered by Newtonian mechanics. The Age of Enlightenment, lit by Newtonian certainty. NASA's rocket trajectories, still based on Newton's math. But even Newton had his limits. He believed light was made of particles. It took another heretic, a boy named Young, to show light also behaves like waves. And it took a patent clerk named Einstein to bend Newton's space and stretch Newton's time. Because that's the beauty of science. It evolves. Even Newton's laws were not sacred. They were just right enough until something better came along. And no one embodied that evolutionary spirit more than a man born in 1809, the same day as Abraham Lincoln, who didn't crack the skies, but dug into the earth. He wasn't a physicist. He didn't carry equations. He didn't drop anything off a tower or launch ideas into the cosmos. He boarded a ship and started noticing birds. Charles Darwin, born in Shrewsbury, England in 1809, was supposed to become a clergyman. Instead, at age 22, he joined the HMS Beagle for what was meant to be a 2-year voyage around the world. It lasted 5. He was shy, he got seasick, he hated public speaking. And yet, this quiet observer would unravel the very foundation of how humanity understood itself. As he sailed along South America, across the Pacific, and through the Galapagos Islands, Darwin filled notebooks with everything he saw. Fossils of extinct mammals, tortoises with different shell shapes on each island, finches whose beaks seemed designed not by God, but by geography. Darwin returned home with a revolutionary idea. Species change, not because they were created that way, but because they adapt. Those best suited to survive do, and they pass on their traits. Over time, this process, natural selection, shapes new species. It took Darwin over 20 years to publish his theory. He knew it would explode like a bomb, and it did, when On the Origin of Species hit the shelves in 1859. It was sold out on day one. Some hailed it as a triumph of reason. Others denounced it as heresy. It was mocked in newspapers, condemned in churches. Victorian England was not ready to hear that humans were not divine creations, but cousins of apes. And yet, the evidence spoke louder than outrage. Darwin's theory didn't just survive, it evolved. It became the backbone of modern biology, genetics, and medicine. From antibiotic resistance to agriculture, from cancer research to conservation, evolution is the language of life itself. But perhaps Darwin's most dangerous idea wasn't about biology. It was philosophical, existential, that nature had no master plan, that the universe did not have us in mind, that life is not guaranteed, it is earned. Darwin removed mankind from the center of creation, and in doing so, he did for biology what Galileo did for astronomy. He made us smaller, and yet, in that shrinking, came awe. Because if we are not chosen, if we are not ordained, then every step we've taken out of the ocean, every fire we lit, every word we wrote, was won, not given. By now, you've seen the pattern. Galileo questioned the heavens. Newton gave them laws. Darwin gave them life. And yet, none of these men built temples. They built questions. Because the scientific mindset is not a set of facts. It's not a collection of formulas. It's not even about the answers. It's about how you find them. The moment you say, I don't know, but I want to, you stepped into the most powerful intellectual tradition humanity has ever created. It's not faith, it's not dogma, it's not revolution, it's a compass, and it points not north, but forward. Let's talk legacy. Without this mindset, we wouldn't have antibiotics, telescopes, airplanes, the periodic table, electricity, wireless communication, planetary probes, gene therapy, clean water, statistical models, the theory of relativity, climate science, vaccination, forensic evidence, and nearly every tool that allows you to live past age 30. But let's not forget, the scientific mindset also gave us gunpowder empires, biological warfare, chemical weapons, nuclear bombs, eugenics, mass surveillance, and the machinery of industrialized war. Why? Because knowledge is neutral. It is a blade. It cuts. The hand that holds it decides the wound or the cure. So why do we still rank it number one? Because no ideology has touched every corner of life like this one. Not just how we live and die, but how we think, how we question, how we dream. Because without the scientific mindset, none of the other top 9 ideologies would have been discovered, tested, challenged, or dethroned. This idea is not finished. It's unfolding right now. And with that, the countdown ends. You've just traveled through the top 10 ideologies that changed and scarred human history. From fascism to feminism, from gods to genomes, from political fires to philosophical whispers, each idea you heard today came from people who dared to look at the world and say, it doesn't have to be this way. Some burned the world, others built it, but none left it the same. And neither should you, because every new day becomes yesterday's history. And the beliefs we hold today will shape what the world remembers tomorrow. This ranking was built on real data, academic sources, and historical consensus, but it's not set in stone. Disagree with the order? Want to challenge a ranking? Got an ideology you think we missed? Tell us in the comments. If you want to go deeper, we've curated books, documentaries, and historical archives used for this entire series. Check the description below. If you believe in the power of ideas, support the project by subscribing, sharing this video, donating via PayPal, or clicking our affiliate links to access the sources that built this journey. Because history doesn't repeat itself, people do, and MetaFacts Legends is here to remember why, so we don't forget how. This was episode 1, Top 10 Ideologies that Changed and Scarred Human History. We'll see you in episode 2. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and never stop asking, what if we're wrong?